I thought we were going to discuss the project list. Are we not doing that?
No.
Then how are staff supposed to have our feedback? And
Not tonight.
Oh, okay. Forgive the lack of eloquence, as I find myself in the most unusual circumstance of having to talk about facilities at a facilities meeting as a member of the public, but here we are. Didn't realize that we weren't going to have a discussion on facilities, on our current investments. So I'll make a few of I'll note a few of the things I wanted to talk about. First, we've talked about safety and security. A year ago, we reduced that amount, and we have not increased that amount. So we reduced it by $3 million, and yet we have not added to that. It remains the same. What we have done is we've reduced several other projects in the district. I'll start with elementary schools, which show by far the worst facilities score throughout the district are our elementary schools. Total decline for Roosevelt in this new Measure M is $6.98 million. And I really would like to talk about that. That specifically would almost fund the second gym that got bumped. So where did those reductions come from would be an incredible question for me. And I think I'll end with this because I really wanted to talk because all of this pertains to all of our schools, and I had other notes and commentary. But I've always been one to talk about equity. I've always been one to say that worst first. I've always advocated for all of our schools in that order, and I was hoping to have that discussion today. But unfortunately, we have not been able to. Thank you.
With our declining enrollment, have you taken that into consideration as far as the class size reduction, or is it too early to do that?
With our expansion of programs from early learning to social emotional support, most of our available or free classrooms have been consumed through these support programs. And so we're basically, even though we're with declining enrollment and reduced class sizes, we're actually still expanding. And so square footing is square foot, and so that's part of the challenge. But it's also, the work we need to do.
So good evening, everyone. Again, thanks for the invitation. The only thing I'll add to what President Bonilla said is obviously a lot of focus around our students and their needs inside of our classrooms. One of the reasons that this language is important is because it also means that we have a lot of sort of intentionality in this process. We will be doing some field work that the district can't do. So we'll have a team of folks out knocking on doors, making sure that voters understand why this is important for our school district, and quite frankly, why this is important for our communities. We'll be working with our partners to make sure that folks are out in the field. We'll also have volunteers coming out to do phone calls and do work out in the field as well to make sure that we are as successful as possible getting this bond passed.
I have a very good relationship with MC3 programs within 5 high schools within Fresno Unified. We look forward to ramping that up. And so I can say with 80–90%, I can even beat the statistics given to you, that the building trades will probably, I don't speak on behalf of them until there's a vote, obviously, but I have every indication to tell you that we would be, as a trades, behind this bond measure.
This is year 18 of teaching for me. I teach autism inclusion at Bullard High School. In the time that I've worked at Bullard, there have been real bomb threats, lockdowns for threats of gunmen. Several times irate parents have gotten into classrooms, one time to fight a teacher, one time to fight another student. Bullard High School is the only high school in the district that does not have security gates. This must be rectified immediately. Not having tall security gates when you know that they're needed opens up the students to harm and the district to lawsuits. Approve the fence for Bullard.
I am a school psychologist, and I've been working in the district for 6 years as a school psychologist, and this is my second year at Bullard High School. And one of the biggest glaring issues I see every day I drive into work is our 3-foot-high fence. I was there last year through both of the lockdowns, and I can tell you that it was not always pretty how the community responded because it's safety. I mean, people are afraid of their kids getting hurt, but we need to be able to have access points where we can secure ambulances, we can secure police officers, where we can get students off campus in an orderly fashion to secure locations. And if we have a 3-foot-high fence, that's not going to happen. So it's really, really important that you guys take this seriously.
I want to thank the board for setting up this workshop to foster a public discussion about your priorities and giving us, the public, a chance to provide some feedback. The survey results are rather interesting. It showed a steady and significant concern about school safety. 95% of the respondents felt safe and clean schools are from somewhat to extremely important, but important nonetheless. Now, when reviewing a 2020 fact sheet prepared by this district on Measure M, the #1 item listed under safety and security is the promise of investments for, I quote, fencing and gates. Yet Bullard High School is being left behind. Now, if we for a moment set aside arguments about the morality and equity of the issue, let's look at it politically. We all know what happened with Measure E and the impact of Northwest Fresno's voters to defeat this measure. Now, if this board doesn't fund the fence, despite having already promised it and campaigned on it in the previous iteration of Measure M, what I really worry is that the voters will question the need for another bond measure, much like they questioned the value of Measure E, and feel there's a bait and switch and they can't just see any value of it and may vote against it. Bullard families cannot wait for another bond measure to pass in order to not only feel safe, but in reality to be safer. And they shouldn't have to. And I ask that you make the tough decision and move forward with this project, especially if you're planning on coming back to the voters and asking them to vote yet again on another bond measure. Thank you very much.